Welcome to Response Able Parenting, the podcast that shows you how to parent in alignment to your emotions, needs, and goals versus your programming, bad advice, and let's face it, outdated strategies that just don't work. You'll get in the trenches support on nervous system and emotional regulation, critical mindset shifts, stronger communication strategies, and more. In this podcast, you'll gain transformational tools that take you from reacting to every frustration to responding with clarity, regulation, and finally setting the example you desire for your kids. I'm Becky Jennings, your new parenting coach, and this is the Response Able Parenting podcast. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back. Thrilled to be with you all again. And, it's just such a comfort to come here every single week and to have an opportunity to share what is going on in my life, to hear from you. It just feels like such an incredible community of like-minded people who are really just here to grow, to focus, to just be better people so that we can be better parents. And that means a lot to me. And so thank you for being here. I'm thrilled to have you here again. And what a win. What a win to have this space as a community. So thank you for being here. I want to talk today about what it feels like to fail, what it feels like to not get it right, or be like, man, it's not working for me, and what that feels like. Like you see all these other people, maybe you're in the challenge right now, the 30-day regulation challenge, the fast way to regulate. Maybe you're in that right now and you're like, I'm looking around and I'm seeing other people doing really well, or it's not clicking for me. And, I have felt that way before. Like I do Lacey Phillips from To Be Magnetic. I do her manifestation work a lot and I go through her challenges, and then I'll hear the podcast episode come out, the process episodes, and I'll hear these people like very much in the exact same position I am, feeling the exact same thing, having the exact same limiting beliefs, and yet all of a sudden something in this challenge unlocked for them and they are light years ahead and they have just manifested exactly what they want. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it. I did the work too, right? I did the work. I did the steps. I thought I was doing it. Like, why not me? And I think that there's a part to that, especially in parenting, where you're like, I don't get it. Why is it easier for that parent? Why was that person able to stay calm? Why can't I? And I think a large part of it is, well, first of all, it's figuring out where we are unsettled inside, where we have a block inside of our body, a pattern that is so solidified, a neural pathway that is so deep that we will constantly default back to that. We know that when we are in stress, when our body is under stress, it will default to the old, very ingrained, deep neural pathway because that is easier. Our brain is always going to do what it knows. It's never going to give the mental and necessary energy required to do a new habit when under stress. That's why it's so imperative to practice the new habits so often in stress and outside of stress so that you're constantly drawing attention to the new neural pathway that you want to solidify so that your brain goes, oh, they're constantly giving attention to this. This must be the thing that we need to be giving more energy, effort, and attention to, so this other old pattern isn't as deeply solidified. And one of those neural pathways could be perfectionism. It could be that you have this very specific image of what it will look like when you are regulated, what your kid will do when you are regulated. You have this image in your head, and social media has a large component of that, of like this perfect kid. And I said this script and look, they perfectly did exactly what they're supposed to do. And look at me, I'm a perfect parent, right? Well, when that doesn't happen, it can be deeply dysregulating again, right? We get stressed. And when we get stressed, we fall back into our old default pattern, which is that negative pattern that we're trying to break in the first place. So within that dysregulation, we maybe start to fake it, right? Fake it till we make it. Maybe we start to outwardly project these like faux regulated feelings. So maybe we're like talking through clenched teeth, or maybe we are still deeply dysregulated internally. We still have a ton of internal chaos going on. And yet we're trying to take our child through regulation. We're trying to act regulated in front of our kids. Well, our kids, they read people. They don't have a vast language, but they can definitely read body language probably better than anybody. If I'm even quiet in the car for a little bit, my kid's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, I'm just thinking." He's like, "Oh, okay. I thought something was up because you were quiet." Right? So they know. They know when it's faux feelings. They know when it's faux regulation. They just know. So, this perfectionism that we have, this perfect image of how it's going to look, this very dialed in specific thing that we want to see, when that doesn't happen, it dysregulates us even further, right? We're already dysregulated. We're trying this script that might not feel authentic to us, and then it doesn't work. And then our kid is more dysregulated, which causes us to be more dysregulated. And then we're trying to fake it. And our kids noticing that they're not buying any of it. And so then we feel like, oh my God, this isn't working. None of this works. And I think ultimately, when we are trying so desperately to fix something, we end up creating more problems because we're not operating from a place of trust. We're not operating from a place of the journey is the goal, right? We have a very specific goal, and we live in a society that is extremely impatient. Like, hand to God, I am so impatient. And so when it doesn't, when we don't nail it the first time, when our kid doesn't respond the way they should respond straight away, it just solidifies that this isn't working in our heads, right? But when we're trying to fix everything, and maybe we're trying to fix so many things at once, we start to operate from fear. We start to operate from this dysregulated sense of urgency and panic that will constantly be delaying the progress. Because fear is never a good place to be trying to reach a goal from. Fear is never a place that solidifies healthy habits, right? And so we want to really notice where that fear is coming up, notice why that fear is coming up, and we get to start to understand where the root of that fear is coming from. Is that the people pleasing? Is that the perfectionism? Is that external validation? Did something happen that's so exactly similar to this, and it caused you to have a whole host of self-limiting beliefs that then you carried those beliefs with you through adolescence, through your 20s, into parenting, all of that stuff. This has been my life's work, right? Trying to figure out where that is, trying to figure out why I parent in some situations completely neutral and have no problems whatsoever, when that could be so triggering to somebody else. But then something that's totally neutral to another person, it's sending my nervous system through the roof. This parenting process, it can't be so rigid it doesn't fit everybody, right? We have to truly figure out what is authentic to us. We have to figure out our authentic values, our authentic boundaries, what our authentic goals are, what it looks like for us and our families. My son's personality is going to be very different from his best friend's personality, and his best friend's mom is going to be different from me. And so we can't parent the exact same. And I think that's where this gets really frustrating, because it would be so convenient to have the guidebook that tells you exactly what works and exactly what doesn't. But here's what I know works. I know that when we have shared family values and everybody is in agreement with those values, that works. I know that when we allow feelings to be expressed and not shut down, where we focus on listening to the other person so that we truly understand and we lead with curiosity, I know that works. I know that what works so much is spending intentional time, not neglecting our own nervous system as the mother. As the primary caregiver, neglect of your nervous system is going to be the downfall, hands down. So I know what works is regular self-regulation practice. I honestly, I don't really care about self-care, right? Sure, you can work out. Sure, you can shower every day if that makes sense to you. Sure, you can do your hair and makeup. Sure, you can get your nails done, whatever. Whatever you like to do for self-care, do it. But self-regulation cannot be missed. And that has to be a daily practice off the mat. What do I mean by off the mat? Off the mat work is when you are not stressed with your kids, when you are not in the heat of the moment. That is the off the work mat that you have to do to grow your window of tolerance. Now, it could look different. Your regulation practice could look different from your neighbor, from your kid's best friend's mom. That's fine. And it will not work if you're trying to do somebody else's practice. It will not work if you're trying to model somebody else's script that's not authentic to you. So that's why this challenge is so vitally important, because you get to understand what is truly yours, what you get to unpack what your patterns are, where your tricky and sticky parts are in parenting, where your self-limiting beliefs came from and what they're saying and how they're influencing you in your parenting today. Because I guarantee the self-limiting belief that you have isn't going to reflect the script that your friend has, right? So they're not going to match. So it's not going to work. So it's going to feel constantly like you're failing, and it's going to feel like more evidence to say, yeah, no, look, it's not working. Yeah, this practice doesn't work. Yeah, regulation doesn't work. Yeah, gentle parenting doesn't work. All this stuff to keep us kind of in that control seat, right? When we can point outwards and say it doesn't work because of XYZ, that's just giving our control away to a system that never matched our authenticity in the first place. It's 2025, and there is more parenting advice than ever before. Yet we're still confused, stuck, and defaulting back to the way our parents raised us in the 80s and 90s. Parenting has evolved since then, and it's time your strategies do too. Welcome to the Response-Able Parenting community. This is where you get the support you're looking for so you can make fast, positive, and long-term change in your household. Inside my community, you get access to my signature course, Stuck to Strong, your emotional regulation roadmap to raising ADHD and strong-willed kids. You have my Fast Way to Regulate challenge, giving you 30 days of nervous system work to completely rewire how you react to the stress of parenting. On top of that, you have weekly opportunities to connect with me and get personalized support on issues that challenged you that week. You also have quarterly workshops, bite-sized mini lessons to keep you motivated, and everything I add for as long as you're a member. This is your place to filter out all the noise and get practical strategies that work. Join the community today and start feeling relief as early as tonight. That's why I truly believe in this program and this practice, is because you get to pinpoint exactly what is yours. I can give you the framework, but the questions that you answer throughout give you the deep understanding of what it is for you that isn't working, where your individual, nuanced, very authentic pieces of your puzzle aren't fitting. And then you get to create your own customized, your own personal roadmap that works for you and your family, because your children also have different personalities from you, and they also have different needs and requirements. So I know it sounds like I'm like, oh my God, this seems like an unattainable ask to stay regulated, but it really is very simple. It comes down to figuring out what it is for you, your specific challenge in parenting, forgetting about the noise, forgetting about the rhetoric, forgetting about somebody else's pace, forgetting about keeping up with the Joneses, right? When we consistently look outwards to feel like we are on track, we're never going to be on track because it's not our track. We're looking at somebody else's track, and that will never help us get to our true, authentic, regulated place, which is vital, because my regulation looks very different from my husband's regulation, looks very different from my son's regulation. And that's where we need to honor the individual, right? My feelings are different from your feelings and her feelings and their feelings and all of that. So it will work. the process does work, but we can't constantly be looking to others to fix. This is where it's like when people say you got to do the work, this is the work, right? Figuring out what it is individually for you, your authentic needs and wants and desires, your authentic goals that match your true alignment, not what you see from others, your authentic regulation practice that matches you and your needs and regulates your nervous system, because no two nervous systems are the same, right? And so it can feel like it's not working, and it will only feel like it's not working when you're looking to other people to validate and when you're looking at other people and comparing. That's when you're going to say it's not working, because that's going to be your barometer. You're like, oh my gosh, look at them. They're on day 14. I'm only on day 2. Or we both finished the challenge and they feel regulated and I feel so chaotic still. But look back, were you looking at others the whole time throughout, wondering if they were judging your practice, whether or not they thought you were doing well enough as a parent? We have to look internal. All of this work is internal. And when we can put those blinders on and when we can flush out the noise and kind of put those noise canceling headphones on and not look at others and say, hey, do you see what I'm doing over here? Is it good enough? Am I doing it right? But we're instead building and growing off the sensations in our own bodies, saying, that feels much better. That feels really great. Oh my gosh, I was able to just get through that meltdown without feeling as chaotic as I did last time. That's the growth and the measurement that we want to be looking at, versus if other people agree, if other people approve, and if it's at the same pace as others, and if it's pleasing others, right? All of that is going to slow us down, and all of that is going to make us think that none of this works when we're constantly looking to others. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. When somebody comments negatively on a post that I make, that's a really positive post, a post about growth, and I'll have 300 positive comments, but I'll have 2 negative, nasty ones. And I'll sit and I'll ruminate on those nasty ones for so much longer. And part of my growth process is to give myself permission to not allow that into my field, right? Into kind of my like protective barrier. I don't need to allow that into my boundary line, right? If that feels unsafe to my nervous system, why am I allowing it in? And I think we need to really unpack that and look at that and ask ourselves why. First of all, why we are allowing that. Are we trying to be all things for all people to make sure that we get that external validation from enough people to let us know we're on the right path? Whew. Or are we like, okay, so we have differences of opinions, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not coming into your life and casting valuation and judgments on your life, yet I'm allowing you to do that to mine. Why? A lot of it goes back to programming and all of that stuff, which which we unpack in the challenge and is super important to go into. But that could be why it doesn't feel like this is working, because there's a lot of comparison, self-judgment. There's this urgency to fix versus trusting the process and allowing it. Because when we create that environment of love, when we create habits and routines and self-care practices around regulation, we are creating an internal environment that is so set up for success. And that gives us a tremendous opportunity to really feel not those faux feelings, but real, true, genuine, authentic feelings of growth and progress and regulation. And then you won't even really notice that other people might not approve, because you feel so sound inside. And that's when you know that this is working. I hope that was really helpful. I kind of feel like I went on a tangent and talked for like 20 minutes on this, but I hope that was very, very soothing and helpful, because I know that that has been my journey through letting go of people pleasing and letting go of that external validation as my compass. And when you let go of that, it frees up a lot of emotional energy and space to do what you want to do in parenting. And I think that's really important. Okay, so if you haven't joined the Regulation Challenge, you can still do so. It is still available. You can join that as a community member, and it will be available and accessible to you along with all of my other courses, workshops, programs, or you can just get it as an individual program and work through it just as a standalone. All right, I will see you inside Fast Way to Regulate, and I will see you next week on the podcast. See you later. Thank you for listening to the Responsible Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.